Breaking news, China, ginulat ni Pangulong Bongbong Marcos sa speech nito sa ASEAN. Ayon sa nakalap nating impormasyon, buong mundo ang nagulat nang soplakin ni Pangulong Bongbong Marcos ang China sa ASEAN base sa speech ng Pangulo. Malabo pa sa katotohanan ng pangarap niyang makausap ng maayos sa mga Chino dahil tuloy-tuloy ang kanilang panggagago sa kabila ng patuloy na pakikipag-meeting sa ASEAN leaders, kaya dapat makiisa sa kanyang plano na sabay-sabay soplakin ng China sa pagharap nila sa ASEAN leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Your Majesty, Excellencies. We gathered today at a critical juncture in the history of our region. The global landscape is witnessing unprecedented shifts, from the escalation of regional security threats to the transformation of the global economy. As one community, our collective well-being hinges upon our ability to respond to the changing paradigm of our times in a timely and effective manner. In these times of uncertainty, ASEAN should matter more than ever. The significance of ASEAN on the global stage can only be sustained so long as we can demonstrate to the rest of the world that ASEAN continues to be a force for positive change. The first step in that positive change is the promotion and the maintenance of peace. Because as you speak for progress, that progress must be built on a strong foundation of peace. And so let us look at the threats to peace in our region. One test of our relevance is our ability to facilitate a peaceful resolution in Myanmar. We remain firm that the resolution to the Myanmar crisis should be Myanmar-owned and Myanmar-led. We continue to support the efforts of the ASEAN Chair to engage all stakeholders in Myanmar. We reiterate that all efforts in Myanmar should be in line with a 5-point consensus and done in coordination with the Chair of ASEAN. Your Majesty, Excellency, our vision for the South China Sea is a sea of peace, stability, and prosperity. Today, sadly, this remains a distant reality. For our part, the Philippines will continue to work with all the countries to foster a rules-based international order. We remain committed to the peaceful resolution of disputes in the South China Sea in accordance with international law. We will continue to uphold and exercise freedom of navigation and overflight in the South China Sea in accordance with international law, including, of course, the 1982 UNCLOS. But let me be clear, we do not seek conflict, but it is our duty as citizens and as leaders to always rise to meet any challenge to our sovereignty, to our sovereign rights, and our maritime jurisdictions in the South China Sea. No country would expect any less. No country would do any less. The Philippines firmly rejects misleading narratives that frame the disputes in the South China Sea solely through the lens of strategic competition between two powerful countries. This not only denies us our independence and our agency, but it also disregards our own legitimate interests. We once more call upon all parties for self-restraint on activities that complicate disputes in the South China Sea. We must not undermine regional peace, stability, and security. We cannot emphasize enough that actions, not words, should be the ultimate measure of our commitment to securing peace and stability in the South China Sea. Anything else simply does not suffice. We therefore seek your support for the operationalization of practical measures such as the ADMM guidelines for maritime interaction, which we envision will be expanded to our external partners in due time. The Philippines is also pleased to have hosted the second ASEAN multilateral naval exercise off Zambales and Bataan and the 40th meeting of the JWD-DOC in Manila to expedite the negotiations for substantive and effective code of conduct in the South China Sea. As tensions and mistrust between the great powers escalate, so too does the prospect of miscalculation that threatens to engulf the region with the severest consequences for all of us. It is imperative that we leverage the ASEAN regional architecture to serve as a diplomatic bridge that promises mutual understanding, strategic trust, and peaceful settlement of disputes. History will ultimately judge whether the supremacy of the rule of law prevails, ushering in an era where all nations truly stand as equals, independent and unswayed by any single outside power. The challenge for us remains that we must never allow the international peaceful order to be subjected to the forces of might applied for a hegemonic ambition. The future of peace rests now on how we together face this challenge.
Our strength as a regional organization is nowhere more pronounced than when we effectively deliver and follow through on our commitments. With a projected growth rate of 4.9% next year and a steady rise in intra-ASEAN trade and foreign direct investment inflows, ASEAN is poised to improve its macroeconomic fundamentals in the face of a prolonged geopolitical and socio-economic challenge that impacts our region and the world. To this end, the Philippines will always continue to strive to maintain ASEAN as a competitive and integrated regional economy. Key to our integration efforts is facilitating a rules-based multilateral trading system that is open, free, and fair. To further expand mutual trade, we should continue efforts at enhancing ASEAN connectivity and supply chains. We remain optimistic that RCEP will not only widen our options to increase production and ultimately strengthen supply chain resiliency, but also provide a new space for our economies to participate in the global value chain. Excellencies, our growth only matters when it is inclusive. The digital transformation of the economy, born out of necessity, granted us the opportunity to overcome geographic limitations and deepen economic integration. The interoperability of our systems in terms of digital trade, digital payments, and the like should foster a vibrant digital economy that is interconnected as it is secure. Let us bolster support for the increased participation of micro, small, and medium enterprises and startups in the digital and creative economies. Creativity and innovation are the way to the future. Let us strengthen collaboration and align our policies, including establishing a regional scope of the creative economy, closing financing gaps, and managing digital readiness capacities. Always at the heart of our community building should be our people. We must continue to prepare our people, especially the marginalized and the vulnerable, such as the women and the persons with disabilities in business, for the digital future. The citizens of ASEAN should reskill and upskill to maintain their leading roles in our economies. Let us ensure that our digital infrastructure enables broad and uninterrupted access, as the provision of our public services has shifted to digital platforms. Improving access to safe and secure digital learning opportunities, fostering digital literacy, and developing transferable skills in ASEAN will therefore remain our priority. Excellencies, Your Majesty, we must be ready to assist those who have toiled to contribute significantly to our economies and our migrant workers. In this regard, the Philippines stands ready to lead and support efforts to operationalize the ASEAN guidelines on the protection of migrant workers and family members in crisis situations. Our policies to protect migrant workers should provide assistance across all stages of crisis preparedness, response, and recovery. As a voluntary lead shepherd for the cooperation against trafficking in persons, the Philippines will continue to call for more concerted efforts in intensifying regional and international cooperation, especially in mobilizing resources to prevent and combat the abuse of technology in TIP. We look forward to operationalizing the ASEAN Leaders' Declaration on Combating Trafficking in Persons Caused by the Abuse of Technologies. Excellencies, the most urgent threat to our progress is the impact of climate change. It is a looming reminder of the injustice of its disproportionate impact on our people. At the upcoming COP28, ASEAN must call on developed countries to heighten the implementation of their commitments that include climate finance, technology developments and transfer, capacity building, in order to drive ASEAN capabilities to prevent, mitigate, manage, and adapt to the impacts of climate change. As one of the most disaster-prone countries in the world, the Philippines will continue to prioritize international cooperation that will make ASEAN climate smart and disaster ready, including through the ASEAN Center for Biodiversity. In achieving food security, we must build on cooperation that will harness the transformative potential of our agricultural sector to ensure that food production is responsible and will be of benefit for future generations. The continued effectiveness of our community building efforts rests on a clear assessment of our strengths. The Philippines will continue to champion for change that will strengthen our institutions, improve our decision-making, and uphold ASEAN centrality. To this end, it is my pleasure to announce that the Philippines is ready to take the helm and chair of ASEAN in 2026. We will fortify the foundations of our community building and navigate ASEAN as it embarks on a new chapter. We will count on the support of fellow member states and continue to work with our partners to strengthen ASEAN centrality and to promote peace, security, stability, and prosperity in the region. Finally, I would like to thank and congratulate Indonesia and President Joko Widodo for Indonesia's most able leadership and warm hospitality as the chair of ASEAN this year. And I look forward to next year's summits with Lao PDR as our chair. Thank you and mabuhay.
Ngayon ikaw bilang Pilipino, ano ang masasabi mo at reaksyon sa balitang ito? Mag-iwan ka ng komento sa ibaba at atin pong babasahin isa-isa.